What happened to complaining?
Hey, and welcome back to Couch for It, everyone. I'm Drew Tillman, as always, and I am joined, as always, by...
Hi, I'm Belinda.
Hey! We're so good at this now. It's so amazing.
Oh, our intro is smooth as hell. It's
Yep.
like butter. It's
And today we're going to talk about Altered Carbon Episode 7, which means we have 3 more episodes after this, and Altered Carbon's done. Yeah,
no.
Season 1.
I'm enjoying the hell out of it. No
Well,
way we've already got
Season 2 is
terrible.
going to come out in, probably a year, maybe. Netflix is pretty fast about turning that stuff around.
Yes,
But
that's true.
what are your initial thoughts on this episode, Valanda?
Uh, I like it. It's good. It was definitely a different kind of episode from the rest of them, but I love the hell out of it. Like, it's so good.
Yeah, it's a good episode. This is probably one of my least favorite episodes, though, for small things. There were a lot of small things in it that just kind of dragged it down. Oh my god, really?
I
Siren right outside?
Oh, that was the sound I thought because I've just like tuned into the channels and keep it on chat, and I'm like, wait, was that me? What did I do? What have I
Nope,
turned up?
that was over here.
Yeah, it's definitely a different one. Like it's different from like the roller coasters we've
Yes.
had. This is definitely more like a, oh my god, okay, let's chill, and then we chill, and then we chill, and then we chill, and things are like, oh, this makes sense, and this makes sense, and then I feel like we're about to like, oh, this wasn't chilling. This is taking us up to the top of a
Like,
drop. Oh boy, this is the, oh
Oh,
boy.
something's gonna happen. Let me open my notes because I did take some notes.
Better than I did. But this surprised me because this episode was an hour and 4 minutes long. And I went back and checked all the other episodes. They're all somewhere between 40-ish minutes and back an hour and something. So there's no, we have to do this in a certain amount of time, which is another great thing about Netflix
Yeah, they don't.
things. They don't have to stick with that. You only have 45 minutes to put a show out. I was like, no, this episode will last as long exactly as it needs to.
Exactly, which I really do
Cool.
like. So would you like to start the opening scene while we get into this?
All right. So we kick it off with another voiceover. It's wonderfully done, which basically talks about the fear of death, and about how the fact that they don't really have a fear of death because they can just basically recast into different stacks, etc., different bodies. But not being afraid of death is dumb. You kind of need it. You need it to get by.
It's helpful to remember to be a decent person because at the end of the day,
Yeah.
you die.
Yeah, or you're supposed to.
Exactly.
Which was, I think, for me, the entire point of this episode.
Oh yeah, definitely. This episode was a very hey, you're supposed to die. That's like kind of an important thing to keep everyone
Yeah, it's
where they should be.
even. Yeah, like it stops people from being dicks to a degree. Which I think was the entire gist of this episode. And if that's the message, then I approve. Don't be a dick. You had it here.
Don't be a dick. It's something we should all remember
Yeah.
every day in our lives.
Yeah, just don't be a dick. So yeah, it starts off in that, and we do like a nice close shot of Kovac's face in current time as we know it, and he's looking pretty beat up. And they've got a bunch of paddles there, and like his sister, oh my god, who randomly turned up at the end of the last episode like a ninja, and then basically starts like shocking him back into consciousness.
Yep, gotta get him awake.
Yeah, which is a cool and interesting little bit.
But we also get to see this might as well be flashbacks the episode though, because it's an hour and 4
absolutely.
minutes, and probably an hour of it is flashbacks.
Absolutely. Like
It's so much flashback.
I got really confused of why the flashbacks happens. Like, is he explaining something? Is this a memory?
I think it's all supposed to be his
Um,
memories in his "oh my god, I'm dying and pumped full of drugs" state.
Yes.
Cause yeah, when his sister Ray gets him awake long enough to tell him, "Oh, your sleeve is dying. You're full of, you're septic. You're sick. I can't save the sleeve. I'm just gonna kill it and re-sleeve you. No big deal." And he's like, "No, no, no. You got to save the sleeve." And then she's like, "Oh my god, you're such an idiot."
exactly like that. I think within seconds of them interacting, you get the feeling like there's a bond here somewhere. This is clearly evident, and yeah, it's really
Yeah.
funny. And it's really interesting to see because initially, like, she shocks him back into rhythm or whatever the hell it is, and then like you hear little Ray like, calling him, and then you see adult Ray basically coming into his vision, and he's like, "What the fuck is going on?" And she's like, "Well, you're dying. We got this. It'll be fine." And I think he asked about Ortega
He
at that
does,
time,
yes.
and she's like, "Oh, I just knocked her out. Like, I just couldn't be bothered. I just knocked the bitch
Like,
out."
I had places to go, okay?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but after that very short exchange, it may have done the initial flashback first. It doesn't really matter. The story, you're all gonna get the same story, which is what we got. We see a bit of flashback of Kovac and his sister, who's I guess technically also a Kovac, but it doesn't really matter because everyone calls him Kovac. We see
Yeah.
him and his sister crying, and we see their dad throwing their mother's body into this water, and it dissolving because it's a coolant pond, which apparently,
So there's
yeah,
no body and
yeah, it
remains.
just like destroys it. And we see the dad yelling at the daughter about how she needs to take this necklace off, which is in the shape of that like infinity dragon Ouroboros thing, and she won't do it because it's her mom's. And he goes to hit her, and then he gets shot through the stack by Kovac as an 11-year-old boy
Yeah, like
who straight up murders his dad without a second thought. Now, granted, I don't blame him. His dad's an asshole.
I think there may have been a second thought there.
I don't think so.
Kind of like the kid is 11 years old. It's still his father. He didn't step in to stop his mother being
Okay,
killed.
fine. He killed his dad on his second thought, which was, hey, you can't murder my sister, too.
I was like, oh no, it's two of them. Come on, Dad. Like, we allow one. We've given you one. Okay, there was a freebie. You even got rid of the body. I mean, come on, dude. You can't take a second one. Like,
That is
yeah.
dark. Oh, that got real dark.
He did step in to save his mom. Like, we don't know the exact circumstances.
This is
of her death,
true.
but
We don't
what
know.
can I say?
We don't exactly know what happens. But quickly fast forward to this. He's obviously arrested, which is like the next scene because he gets spun up in virtual as a child.
Yeah.
Where he meets Jaeger. There we go.
Jaeger.
I was like, his name is super familiar, and I should know it. Jaeger, who's basically like, hey, guess what? You seem like a cool kid. I'm gonna recruit you.
God. Like, so this hi Undead. Like, so
Hey,
this
Undead.
this particular bit of the episode, as soon as this like scene started, I'm like, oh, it's virtual. Yay, we now begin to like recognize, like beginning to recognize, like we've begun to like recognize before, like, oh, this is how they set up virtual, this is how it looks. And he's in this like crappy little like cell type room, and it's kind of like yellowish stained walls, and there's a table and his arms are strapped to it, which is dumb because it's in virtual. Like, why would you even bother? And this dude is standing there, and yeah, he's like, you murdered your dad. That's it's a pretty shitty thing to do.
Yeah, he's like, it's pretty shitty. But also, do you want to murder some more people?
Yeah, it's like, you got the make it. I see something in you, boy. And I'm like, yeah, you see a boy you can manipulate because he's 11 years old and just shot his dad. I mean, come on, dude. Like, you son of a bitch. Which I think is entirely the point.
Oh, definitely. That's definitely the point, which I do like this little exchange because it ends with Kovac being like, hey, what about my actual body? And the guy's like, we'll keep it for you. Don't worry. If you ever come back,
Yeah,
you can have it again.
Yeah, we'll put it on ice. It's fine.
Don't worry about it.
I just like, and he's like basically told, like, I did all this because of my sister. What's going to happen to her? And like the dude, Jaeger's like, oh, we'll put her in a good home. She'll be
Don't
fine.
you worry about
And
it.
he's
She'll go
like,
somewhere safe.
yeah, and then he's like, okay, and like the dude's like, start training tomorrow. I'm going to put you in the body of a man.
By the way,
Like,
the first time I watched this, I did not hear that line, and this time I was like, wait, that's awkward.
like I can only talk about going through puberty as a girl. I cannot imagine suddenly going from an 11-year-old boy to being in a body of a man. Like, that is probably the greatest thing ever for anyone, not having to go through puberty. But there's a reason we go through it, to get you.
Well, I mean, I guess it doesn't matter because they apparently burn out your brain to be a SeaTac officer, as we find out later.
Yeah, but still, like you need to transition him in just a little bit. Like let him get a
No,
little.
no.
Like there's parts like the psyche goes through too. Like there's a whole important aspect of going through puberty you need to go through. I'm sorry, you would not give an 11-year-old a gun and go, oh, by the way, you're an adult now.
Okay, you
Hoorah,
say
motherfuckers!
that,
Like
but there are child soldiers out there, Yolanda. People do give
yes, I know.
11-year-olds a gun and go, "Hey, here you go."
I am not saying that this is a good
It's not
option,
a good
and I'm not
option. I'm
saying
just saying it
no, this is
happens.
exactly what I'm saying. Actually, you heard it here. Don't give 11-year-old children guns.
We are on the
Okay.
same page about that. Don't give a child a gun for any reason. Just at all. Don't do it. It's bad.
I like Undead's comments in the chat here, which is you do the murder thing very well. Please do more murder things. A plus society.
Listen, they have a lot figured out, but not having murder is not one of them.
Yeah, this is just it's not good. Anyway, so we transition from that.
We transition from that, and then we actually go back to the present, where we find out that Kovac and his sister have the same tattoo, and they have a little chat about how they're always going to be there for each other, and they're always going to have each other's backs. And I'm sorry, even the first time I watched this, it's a little creepy incest vibe.
Oh
Him and
god,
his sister
yeah.
have
Like
the
so
creepiest, like, sort of incesty vibe thing. It fucking weirds me out.
I tried to like put that weird feeling to us. I was like, oh, maybe they're just like really close to each other. I'm like, yeah, they're close. My brain just as soon as I tried to put that conscious thought of like, no, they're just close. Like they've been
Yeah.
through some shit. It's like they're a couple of 100 years old. They've seen some shit go down, man. They were envoys, and it's all whatever it was that made them all basically die out, and somehow these two survived. They've gone through some shit, man. Like they had an abusive father, and all the good shit. However,
I'm pretty sure I wrote the words "creepy incest vibes" no less than 7 times in my notes.
yeah, it was super creepy
Hey,
at that
here's
point.
a quick hint for everyone: it's not gonna stop. We have 3 more episodes, and guess what? It's gonna.
They have
No,
sex?
they don't have sex, but those vibes do not
Okay.
go away.
Oh boy. Okay, yeah, then that's a little weird. Like, there's familial bond, and then there's that.
I think it's just the way they act towards each other, and like, it's just like generally what you would see between 2 like quote unquote romantic interests in a show is how these 2 act
Yeah.
towards each other. But it's weird because they're siblings.
Yeah, there's like the way he acts around Quell,
Yes. Yeah.
Falcon. Like they are this like he has a very different way of acting around Ortega, which is still like, oh yeah, they still want to bone each other, but it's not intense like where it is with his sister and with Quell. With Falcon, it's almost the same, and it's really weird.
Oh, it's super weird. I'm not a fan of it.
No, me either. It's like it's a little too close. It's a little too weird. So he in the present he says like, you have to save this sleeve. Like, please don't let it die. It's important. And she's like, why? And like, no, don't let it die. It's super important. And then she's like, oh, okay, well, it's taken us 250 years to get back to. And then he basically passes out.
Yeah.
The next round of
flashbacks, where we see Kovac back in his original sleeve. So it's the Takeshi that we've seen throughout this series so far. Probably, yeah, OG Takeshi. Also covered in scars with a brand on his arm. I don't know what these people were doing with his sleeve when he wasn't in it, but they kind of...
I think he said there's a little bit more mileage on here than I was expecting. Like, yeah, he was expecting to go from an 11-year-old boy to a man back into an 11-year-old's body. Like,
honestly, that would have made this next scene even more creepy.
Oh, it would have. So he gets cast back into this body to assume that time has passed, like the body has aged. He has therefore done however many missions off-world in different places, etc. But he's now back in, OG world, OG body, and it's covered in these brands and scars and all this good shit. And they're like, "Be happy, the core kept it like
kept it in shape. This is what you paid for." And he's back on his home world because they have to go kill a Yakuza leader and make a super public show out of it. Like, they're like, oh, we got to kill him, and we got to make sure everyone knows that you don't not pay the you have to pay the protectorate money because we're the protectorate. You have to pay us protection bribes.
Yeah. So we are the biggest gang.
Exactly.
Give us our protection money, or we're gonna come back and beat you up.
In our
Or sorry, before an accident befalls you.
yeah. Exactly, Undead Man. They were supposed to just train his body and not, have it get shot and branded.
Well, clearly, like they were going to use it for missions. They were clearly going to do that. Like even like an 11-year-old kid was like, "You took my body, you
Yeah, like,
motherfuckers."
what the fuck, guys? Um,
What the hell is wrong with y'all? Yeah. So
but
so yeah, the him and the rest of the squad are like basically kitting up, and they go down to this. They go down to this like dodgy warehouse because in the future we still
oh,
have
they're
dodgy warehouses
everywhere.
because yeah, they're just like freaking everywhere. So they go to dodgy warehouse, and he's there, and he's about to take the shot at the guy, when he feels I think it's a gun to
Yeah,
the back of
someone
his
comes up
neck.
behind him and is like, "Put the gun down before I drill out your stack or whatever."
Yeah,
And then he looks at a reflection that happens to be there and sees a woman who has a necklace. That, wouldn't you know it, is that same infinity sign Ouroboros thing. And he's like, "Hey,
yep,
that was my mom's. What are you doing with it?" And he takes his helmet off, and they have their creepy stare at each other vibe thing go on.
yeah,
And then this is my first mark against this episode because I hate this in anything that it is with that like fucking like I am the most badass
yeah,
thing in the world and nothing like they proceed to kill an entire Yakuza outfit and also every protectorate soldier that came to kill all the Yakuza. Just these two
yeah.
people. Just them.
Without
Yeah,
taking
they
any
don't get
damage,
shot,
right?
they don't even get hit once, and I'm like, okay, I get it. You're all badass, but this is dumb.
Yeah. So like these kids, like so this weird brother sister romance bullshit that's going on. So they haven't seen each other in X amount of years. Like it's been at least like a good maybe 10, 15 years or some
Yeah,
bullshit like this.
they're
I don't know
both
exactly how much
totally
time
grown at this point.
yeah, they've gone for being children to being like fully grown adults, however far through their training they are, whatever it is. And they go, "Oh, I recognize you. I'm gonna kill everyone I've ever known."
Just murder
Like,
everyone. It's fine.
yeah.
Um,
Because not only, they don't kill the people they were there to kill, like he doesn't kill the Yakuza, she doesn't kill the Protectorate. No, they just turn on their own people and just start firing
and
blindly out of nowhere. It's
here's
like,
my biggest problem with this scene. At some point, they run into what looks like a little concrete bubble to take cover from, the fact that
yeah,
everyone is shooting at them. And at no point do either the Yakuza or the Protectorate go, "Hey, we have grenades. Let's just chuck a couple in there and we'll wipe
yeah,
up the mess afterwards." They
yeah,
just keep shooting. And then they run
yeah,
in two at a time, to just like
yeah,
let's get in close and hand to hand fight.
yeah. Because we need to have a
We
sword
do. We
scene.
need a sword scene. It's just something that like I like okay, I get it. You up to this point, he was believably badass because it was like, oh, the first group he fought, they kind of punched him around and then, he got the Raven Hotel to like shoot a bunch of them. And then
Yeah,
he fought a guy and it was like it's basically been small scale fights. But then this is a big like shootout and neither of them get shot. Nothing happens to either of them. They just like wipe the floor with an army basically. Or they wipe the
yeah.
floor. They wipe this whole army out and it's like what?
Yeah, like being that when they became envoys, like they were supposed to become more badass. Like it doesn't like this little bit doesn't feel earned.
Right?
Like
They weren't badass
it's like
yet.
we're just
They-
exactly. It's like there was no like real massive setup. Like oh, we know the things going in. We can see the people coming in. We see they're in danger. Oh no, they just turn and just start annihilating everyone. And don't get me wrong, there's some cool like the fight scene
it
looks
does.
cool, but it's not right for where it is. And the fact that it just comes out of complete freaking nowhere, like, oh yeah, we met each other, so now we're gonna murder everyone. Like, there's no like, oh, we need to maybe have a moment about this. I mean, granted, like the strange Yakuza guy's like, I'm gonna come hit you with a sword. And the protector return like, well, I guess we're gonna kill everyone. Like, you have very little time to think. However, they've only known each other like however long she's been alive, and they've been alive way longer than that by this point. Like I don't know, something about it just like it's not okay. I'm so sorry
Oh
about
my
that.
god, I thought we were professionals. Ugh.
Uh
I
Wait,
quit.
I am
I
gonna.
quit
I'm
the stream.
gonna turn my
I
phone off.
quit the
Please
stream.
don't. I've turned my phone off. The reason it's embarrassing is so I get called out on it. I'm not gonna be embarrassed if I'll be embarrassed of going over. Um, oh God,
Anyway, don't be. It's fine.
yeah. So yeah, this thing just doesn't. It just doesn't
No,
sit
it
right.
doesn't.
Like the whole thing's like it's complete, and the weird, creepy, incesty vibe things are happening
Yeah.
all over the
Also,
place.
not to mention
And then
the flashback we see when we see the envoy training. If we had seen the envoy training with Kelchris Falconer and then had watched Kovacs take out an entire Protectorate army, I'd be like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Because she's totally a badass. Like,
yeah, but like chronologically, that
it wouldn't have happened
happened.
yet.
Like
He has no idea about that.
exactly.
So instead, they fight through this entire army, and then they run away, and they have a drink with each other, and that is a good pun.
Thank you.
And then they have a drink, and they're basically like, "Oh, we're stuck on the planet. What are we gonna do?"
It's like we can't leave. We've killed everyone we've met.
Uh,
Are we gonna die?
so they decide they're gonna go hide in the woods, because
Yeah.
I mean, sure, if you can't get off planet, that's what you do. You go hide in the woods
Fine.
until
Find a way of living, just existing until you figure something more permanent out. So they start hiking across the planet through some woods, carrying some gear.
beautiful scenery, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
I would live there in a heartbeat, to be fair.
As much as I'm gonna moan about aspects of this episode, and I still love it. I still love the episode, but I still have to say the scenery, the cinematography, everything in this is just
It's
beautiful.
still a well-made show. It's just there are some, like I said, there's some writing things that I've had problems with even the first time I watched it. Like the creepy incest thing, like
the weird creepy incest thing. That was definitely a choice to make.
Oh yeah.
And the thing is, it's not just between Kovacs as a modern day and Ray. It's between old Kovacs and Ray.
The whole time. It's like, what the fuck is going on with you two?
Like, I can understand how like one set of actors would have a certain chemistry. I'm like, oh yeah, that's really good. Like those two have chemistry together, but they're both the same. Like they both act the same way. That's clearly some choice somewhere.
If they were not clearly defined as brother and sister, and you were watching this, you would be like, oh, these two are definitely gonna fuck.
Yeah, these two are getting good in. Like this is
no, they're just creepy. Oh.
Yeah, it's odd. Yeah. Anyway, so they're hiking through the woods, hiking through the forest, and Kovacs does this weird thing with a rock.
He kneels next to a rock that has a bunch of songspire tree roots on it, and he's rubbing on them. And he's like, "Oh, look at them moving through the boulders. You think they were designed to do that?" And then Ray kind of yells at him because they've been hiking all day, and that's all he's said to her apparently.
It's like, oh boy, hangover must have been real bad. So yeah, she rightly like, dude, this is the only thing you're gonna say to me. You abandoned me, you motherfucker.
You're an asshole.
Yeah, and I believe this is a point where they go on to talk about the fact that he went because she was promised a better family, a better life.
It was either here or in the bar, but yeah.
I think it's here because I distinctly remember when they're like, no, I was putting with the Yakuza and I had to be like loyal to them, and we didn't go to a good family. This wasn't right. What are we gonna do now? We've literally killed everyone we've ever met. And then she starts laughing by the rock, and it was just the funniest scene.
Yeah,
it's like
they both laugh at weird things.
Yeah, but then I think he does anyway. Like he has a very odd sense of humor.
This is true. This is very true.
So it's clearly a genetic thing.
Yeah, and they also have a little argument here about where they're going to camp, and I guess they're going to camp here because
Kovacs, he's like gonna camp here, doing it.
Hold on,
let's just do it.
In Undead Banjo said he just looked up, and in the book, Takeshi and Ray are not related. So what the fuck Netflix? And I agree, because they apparently kept all the creepy sexual undertones, but made them brother and sister. What the fuck?
Maybe it was to detract from the other two relationships that he has. Like, for him to go, like for them to go, oh, like this guy could be involved with three people would make him look a little bit unsympathetic. So by giving him a reason to continue like being around Ray even after he's been with Falcon and been with Ortega, to then have this, oh, I now need to be like bonded to this one too. I think
but all it did in this case was make the show have creepy vibes.
fucking creepy.
Uncomfortable, creepy vibes.
Yeah, I think I understand why they did that. I mean, it doesn't make him just like this cold, heartless dick who just wants to fuck everything. But yeah, they should have gotten rid of those undertones, man. Because holy crap.
Pull those right out. Thank you. Ugh. All right. But they camp here, and they both wake up. They wake up in the middle of the night, surrounded by resistance members. Ooh.
They took my sword away.
They took my sword. And then
they were basically like, "Get off my land."
Pretty much, like, y'all turn around now, go back the way you came from.
And they were like, "Nope, not happening." So they're like, "Okay," so they knock them out. It's like, you're clearly not gonna do anything to try and kill anyone because you clearly care about your sister. Inverted commas.
By the way, the next scene, still don't understand the exact thought process they had here, because Kovac wakes up tied up on a bridge, just like in the middle of a bridge. And my thought, I'm like, okay, what's your thought process? Is the thought process that he's super dangerous and you couldn't just tie him to a tree? Like, what's your thought process of, oh, let's tie his hands to this bridge and that's good enough?
Yeah, because he could get out of that.
Is the thought just like, well, he's in the middle of a bridge and he can't go anywhere, so if he gets free, we could just shoot him?
Yeah. I mean, that's like, if he's in a forest, then I guess he could hide behind some trees or pick up a stick and be dangerous.
Yeah. Whatever, though.
I guess having him on the bridge in the middle of freaking nowhere means he can't run left, he can't run right, and if he goes in any other direction, he's going to fall off the bridge.
He's going to get shot, or he's going to fall to his death, one or the other.
I do have to say, it did look.
Oh, it did. It's a beautiful shot. It's really well done. It's just, what's the thought process of the bridge, other than cinematography?
Yeah, I mean, well, let him have it. Like, cinematography, it looks good.
It does.
So she meanders like down. Well, this is one of my favorite lines in here. There's like, we have this other guy who we learn is called DeSoto.
Yep.
Correction, I learned it from the subtitles. Whose name is DeSoto, and he's like, "I vote we should kill him. This is not a democracy. I respectfully request that we kill him."
Your request is
duly
noted.
Yeah,
I do like that.
I love that. I like across this episode, I fell in love with DeSoto. I fucking love this guy.
DeSoto is such a good character, and I actually.
Yeah, I know. It's so sad.
We'll get to what happens to DeSoto. You can all guess because Kovac is the last envoy.
Yeah, clearly.
But I also want to point out, Kelchrist walks out onto the bridge to like talk to Kovac, and this scene also bothered me because it really feels like somebody was just like, how do we make Takeshi join up with the resistance? I don't know, plot hammer. Yay. Because the conversation is so brief, and then it's just like, all right, I'm part of the resistance now.
Yeah, it was along the lines of, you don't want me anyway because I'm just trained to kill and I don't give a fuck about any of this stuff. And she's like, you're only pretending to be a monster. I see something good inside of you. Yada yada yada. Like, you can't go back to where you were even if you kill me because that's not right. And he's like,
but if I kill you, they'll just let me come back. Like, they won't even say anything.
Yeah, it's like, do you want their forgiveness? No, I guess.
And
not.
then literally cuts to him walking into Stronghold alongside Kelchrist and Ray, and it's like, what the? This was not a good like recruitment speech.
No, like he like Ray talks to him and basically says like, I said I will stay if you stay. Oh fuck, you said yes. Like, I would be interested to see what they said to her. Like, I understand why they spoke to him because he's a CTAC agent. He's literally part of the Protectorate. Like, he's against everything they stand for. So if they can convert him, excellent, because then they've got him and they have the sister. And she says, like, one of you is well-versed in the Protectorate and the other is well-versed in criminals. We need both of these skills. These are good things to have. I'd love to see that because they just tell him that she's getting food.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
she's already accepted. She's already okay. I'm like, you wouldn't just let some random dick who turned up with like a CTAC agent go, nah, they're clearly fine. They're clearly okay. They're not in on this conspiracy or
Right.
any of that shit. Let's just let
It's
them go
just
through.
it's another like it's kind of like, well, they hit the point where Takeshi and his sister have to become part of the resistance. Why are they part of the resistance? I don't know, because plot. Like, we just need to move past this point.
Yeah, they kind of
Now,
literally stumble
I
into
do
it.
kind of I understand, like, Takeshi doesn't want to go back to the Protectorate. He's upset with them. They killed his sister. They like sold his sister off and like did all this terrible stuff.
Yeah.
And he's not part of it, and he doesn't want to go back. But at the same time, why would he want to be part of the resistance at first? Like, there was no like, if you come with me, I'll make it all better. Like, nothing.
Yeah, there's no, apart from these, like, I think the only thing that you can really bring from this is like you have no other choice. Partially plot, but partially it's like you can't go back to Protectorate unless you actually kill me, but then the rest of my guys
Yeah,
will
you're
kill
just gonna
you.
die here.
Or you can't go to the criminal underworld because your sister killed a bunch of them. Which, in my opinion, like, let's take this one side. Let's just say they take an alternate route in an altered carbon, right? They go back to the criminal underworld saying, we killed an entire Yakuza and we killed an entire squad of Protectorate. Be our bitches.
Right.
I think they would have a stranglehold in the criminal
They could
underworld in
literally show
Helen's.
up and be like, "Hey, I'm the captain now." And it's like, okay, well,
Yeah, like, I'm the daddy now. Like, that would like, they could do that. Like, it would be possible.
oh god,
And I kind of want to see this alternate version.
it would have been a good one. But after this scene, we see them move on into the envoy training, which is really
Yeah.
very interesting. The envoys don't trust Kovacs or his sister, but we get to see their actual training. Like, we've seen bits and pieces of it.
Yeah.
And my favorite one is we actually
Like,
get to see that this, you have to learn the weakness of weapons scene, like the entire thing, which is such a good scene because as a whole, it makes so much more sense. Because she's talking about,
Yeah.
oh, weapons are not what you need to worry about. And Kovacs is like, oh, it's so easy to say when you have a gun. So she's like, all right, well, come fucking fight me then. And just so,
Fight me, bro.
And DeSoto laughs, and she's like, oh, okay, let's even the odds. Gives him a gun. It's like, all right, both of you take me down. And they start fighting with each other. And right when they're gonna go, like, actually try to shoot each other, she just jumps in and then beats both of them handily. And she's like, hey, this is the problem. You fought each other instead of fighting me.
Yeah. Like, this is where, like, she proves herself to be a badass again. And it makes even more sense. It makes it even more of a badass knowing she didn't just pick a fight with them. No, she stopped them from fighting each other. Like, she just went in there and did that shit. And the ending of that scene, which we obviously didn't see before in the flashback, was Ray trying to shoot her.
Ray picks up a gun and goes to shoot her. And without looking, Kelchrist, like, just points the gun behind her and shoots the gun out of Ray's hand. Without a problem. She's like, nope.
Nope, not happening. And she dispenses some wisdom to her, which clearly Ray does not take kindly to. Doesn't take kindly to her at all. Like, there's always that undercurrent of these two not getting on. And it's because, she can clearly see that her brother is about to be fucking someone else. So there's jealousy there.
She's so jealous of it. Again,
totally, man. Like,
creepy incest vibes. I hate it so much.
Stop it, please. Please stop
this.
Yeah. So what happens in this bit is they do a flashback where they link back pretty much all of the flashbacks we've seen by like one or two, and it weaves it into a bigger, better, like, thing. It doesn't feel like, oh, we were cheated. Like, oh, this is just a showcase reel of like, here's what we've had so far in this episode, and we're just going to string it all together like a recap episode. It doesn't feel like it makes the scenes that we flash back to actually have more weight, more relevance, not just to the scene that they were at the time, like, oh, we need to tell you why he's like this with local people, he needs to create a pact because he was told to. No, it weaves the whole thing into a much bigger story, much more weightier thing to it, and it's so good. Like, this piece of writing, this bit here was really well done, really well constructed, to know that this is going to be a thing at the end, but we need to make it small bite-sized things. Like, this is a masterclass in how to write this kind of thing, and it was beautifully shot, it was beautifully done, well acted, apart from the creepy incesty vibes, but that's a
which
whole
apparently
problem.
shouldn't be there at all.
No, that's super weird. Let's not do
No.
that. Let's
But we
not do
also
it.
see how, Kovac and his sister are not really accepted by the envoys, but eventually they start running missions with them, and then they get accepted because, they're fighting together and they're becoming a strong knit family of
Yeah, you
murderers.
bond through
Yeah.
battle. And we find out that Kovacs, like they do one of these little missions and they needle cast into a certain place because Kovacs has information about how to get in there and how they can use some handily available combat sleeves that are going to be on the side in case the locals interrupt. So they need, and we find out that he stays behind a little bit to make sure that De Soto can get out. And then we have this nice little scene where everyone's like bonding at the dinner table, and DeSoto just sits down next to Kovacs and is like, "Don't get a big head, you motherfucker."
Yeah, he has basically tells him like, "Hey, fuck off! Don't ever help me again because I don't need it," and then hands him a flask.
Yeah, which Kovacs looks at, and it takes a good like 20 seconds, and then he drinks it, puts it back, is like, "Good talk."
It,
And then clearly like everyone like begins to laugh and
yep.
get back on again, and you see that relaxation. Like this is a really good way of showing what they had before when they were doing the showing them not being accepted by the rest of the envoys, which was they had them in their canteen area, inverted commas, and they were sitting apart from everyone else. And then when they did this scene, they were sitting amongst the group. They weren't even sitting together. They were sitting amongst the group, and that was a really good way of going, this is us not accepted, this is us being accepted. It didn't feel forced. It was really well written. It just felt really natural because it's not a I accept you now, have a drink with me. Okay. It was done in that style of you're an asshole. Yeah.
All
All right.
right, good enough for me. We'll both be assholes together.
It's how this shit works, and it's why I love the Soto. I'm like, it's so well done. Like this bit was just like
Yeah.
so
Uh,
good.
and after this, we see a scene where Kelchris starts talking about how she can see that living forever is a bad thing. Like she can see already that there are going to be people who are so rich and so powerful, they'll just own everything and they'll never die. And dying is how really terrible people eventually get balanced out. Like it doesn't matter if they're
Yeah.
really terrible; they can only live for so long, and then they're out, they're done. You can move
Yeah,
on.
there were so many little nuances to the things that she was saying. Like, for example, balance. Like, shitty people can only last a certain amount of time. Huzzah! Like rich people can only be rich for so long. Like, they're rich, but their power is going to end because they're going to die. Which I thought was like a really interesting, like little. It was so filled with stuff because there's a comment that he makes when he's talking to his sister, which is, she's like, "What the hell are you looking at?" And he's like, "I'm seeing doubt on her. Like, this is what I'm seeing by looking at her." And you quite often get that when people give more than they seem to be reaching for various ideas and arguments to support what they're trying to think and what they're trying to feel. That always hides an element of doubt. And this is exactly what she was doing because there's clearly something else going on, like underneath what she's saying, which is like everyone should die. This is a normal thing, but there's something else in there, and I love that we get to find that out too in this
Yeah,
episode. So,
and
it's so good.
and during this whole scene, it wraps up with Kelchris being like, "I've written a code that if we can get it into all the stacks, it'll limit everyone. You can only get 100 years, and then your stack
Yes.
your mind gets destroyed."
Yeah.
But to do that, first of all, they got to break into a place and steal some codes, and then go to the central core and do some stuff. It's all one big suicide mission, honestly. And she's like, "Who's with me?" And of course, all of her, her resistance members are like, "Yeah, let's do this."
Yeah, I don't think there's a single person who walks
Nope,
away.
they all,
Like, because she's like, if you want to fuck off, fine, but I'm still
yeah,
going to try
everyone's just like,
this.
we're here to do this."
Yeah, it's like we need to bring back real death. It needs to be a thing. Like what we have
Yep.
is dumb. And it was like, yeah, we'll stay. And then it's like, well, I need 5 of you to come do this other suicide mission, so we do this thing. And everyone was like,
Well, I don't really
and
want to die yet, but of course,
just like Toy's like, yeah,
yeah,
fuck it.
Kovac volunteers, and Ray gets upset because oh Kovac, you're gonna die. I don't know why I did
Yeah,
that
and
voice.
she's like, what are you doing? And he's like, I want to make a
Yeah, he's like,
difference.
I want
So
to
she gets
I want to
fine.
help things.
Yeah. I want to make a difference. I want to do a thing, man, because this is
Yeah.
important. And in that scene, I got this immediate feeling of he's doing it because he loves the other
Right. That's
woman.
what it definitely feels like. He's like, I'm gonna go help this woman that I love because I am
Yeah.
a dum dum and I've fallen in love. So it's time to go get shot in the face.
Yeah. Like this, like he seems to be doing everything for people that he cares about, and that's a very noble and amazing thing. However, being that this is supposed to be like a belief, like a thing, and we see it in get questions in the last episode of you probably died for nothing. This is done. What the hell were we fighting for? And that may be the sudden realization of like, oh fuck, I did all this for the wrong
Mm-hmm.
reasons.
It's like, oh,
And he's clearly at this point, at least to me, doing it not because he believes in exactly what she's saying, because he believes in her.
yes.
Like, don't get me wrong, that is a good reason to do a thing. Like, if my other half asked me to do something dumb, I'm probably going to do it, even if I don't want to. Like, this is dumb, but yes, I will come watch you play Warhammer because I inverted commas care. Like,
Fine.
there's that whole bullshit going. Like, fine, I'll do it. It's not the right reason to go, but it's
It's
a good enough
reason.
reason.
Uh,
Yeah, exactly.
but then it codes to a scene of them actually doing the first suicide mission, which is stealing some codes.
Yeah.
And it's so obviously a trap. They break in and there are no alarms and no one there protecting these things. And not one of these envoys who are supposed to be able to read all sorts of signals is like, this is definitely a trap.
Yeah. So they go along this little tunnel, and it's dark, and there's like these odd bands of light and stuff along here.
First of all, who built this,
And then
by
like
the way? An evil scientist? This is the weirdest tunnel.
it's yeah, like why is it shaped like this? Why is it colored like this? And why these random glass doors are shut? Like they're running through. She like obviously does a thing where she kind of falls behind a bit, and he picks her up and throws her forward, and then they get separated because this weird glass door closes, and they have that whole kind of like hand on the glass moment of like, I can't get to you, you can't get to me, you better go then. And they're like, okay,
Run away!
So the rest of them fuck off, and Kovacs gets left behind for the protectorate, who are basically like, Jaeger basically says, don't kill him, I think I want to talk to this motherfucker. And they're like, okay, so they taser him and he
Yep,
passes
and
out.
he wakes up again in that same interrogation room. And Jaeger like kind of yells at him, kind of like, "Oh, you abandoned me, and we were friends, and you had so much potential. I'm gonna cut your face off." And then Kelker shows up and beats the shit out of Jaeger.
Yeah, he has one of not Kel Takeshi has one of my favorite lines in this, which is, "You could have redecorated." It's like, yeah, that's fair. Like you would have thought over how many years of existence you may have developed like a different taste. You would have grown as a person. But I guess the point is that people don't when you
At a
live
certain
forever.
point, you're just gonna stop growing as a person. You're gonna stagnate, especially if it's like, well, in the end, it doesn't matter because if this body dies, I'll just get a new one. Whatever. You're not gonna grow as a person. You're not gonna constantly try to be the best version of yourself. You're just gonna be like, well, this is good enough.
Because you have time. Yeah. So yeah, that was an interesting little bit. And she turns up and says, "Dude, you've been shot with a bunch of drugs. We can't get you out. You have to wake yourself
Which I also
up."
like because Jaeger's like, you're not supposed to be able to get in here, and she's just like, ha.
Like, your security, my sir, is shit.
And she's like teleporting around the room and fighting. It's a nice little scene of him just being like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah. And it's another one of these wonderful things where she's basically showing herself to continually be the badass, which is cool. Yeah. And the two of them get out of this simulation bullshit thing.
They do, and they run away, and they get back to Stronghold, and Ray is still very unhappy. And they're playing Go, and Ray's like, which I actually think is a nice little scene because they're playing Go while they're sparring, like they're like having a verbal sparring match as well. Because Ray's like, let's just fucking leave. Everything that Kelkris does is manipulation and planned, and Kovacs is like, no.
Yeah, she drops these wonderful lines like, of course she didn't want you to be tortured because she didn't want her plans being getting out. Like, she does everything she does for a reason. Like, she's playing everything. So, this just we can't trust her. Like, she wants us all to die. This is dumb. And we've lost so much time being together because, obviously he'd gone off and
again,
part of
creepy incest vibes. And she goes, I want 1,000,000 tomorrows together. What the fuck?
Yeah, like, don't get me wrong. I love and care about my siblings. I don't care that much about my
No.
siblings. Like, I don't need a million tomorrows with my brothers and sisters in the way that she was intimating they
Right?
should. Definitely comes off as the jealous lover
She
in
does.
this
Oh, it
scene.
gets
Like,
way worse in a second. Weird ass Netflix.
oh,
That is right,
yeah,
Undead.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. But it's the way Netflix are going. Not weird, but they want to try new things, and it's good that they are. But this
this
is
is this
weird.
is this is too far. Pump the brakes. Back up a little bit.
Yeah, just take a step back, man. Especially if it wasn't supposed to be in. Take a step back. That's fine. Um, so she basically goes off in a half because he's like, "No, I'm staying to make a difference, man. This is let's make it worth it. Like, fuck it." So she goes off in a
Hey,
half, and he goes off
find
to
Falconer,
find,
Kelchrist.
yes, who is writing in the little journal that we saw from episode 1. Uh, so she's writing in this thing, and she basically gets on to explain, like, yeah, basically it's a book of the dead, give or take. All the dead peeps are in here, man. There's some weird little stories and stuff. Um,
And then we find out that she is actually the person who created Stacks because she wanted to experience everything and see everything. But she really,
yeah,
really, 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 really regrets it because it was a terrible plan.
yeah. Like she wanted everyone to see the stars. She wanted to go, like goes, what could take light years to reach another place. Like they could just do it in seconds. It's needle
Yeah.
cast out, and like stacks were a great idea to start with. However, when people went, oh, we could use these to live forever, and only the rich people could afford to live forever, it means all the rich people are always going to have power over the people who don't have the ability to pay for
Mm-hmm.
infinite life. And she's like, this was a shitty idea.
Yeah, and Kovacs was like, no, it was a great idea because blah, blah, blah. And then he kisses her, and we get another sex scene. It's like the fucking third or fourth at this point. I've lost count.
Yeah, I think it's a third because he only has sex with each of them once, right? Like he's a one and done guy.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, this is gonna be, yeah. So he has, apart from his sister, who
Let's
knows.
never go down that road.
Let's, let's not go down the road. So again, the shooting for this sex scene was different
Mm-hmm.
from all the others. Like Ortega, there was
No,
like
it's the
some like
fourth because
really
there's the girl at the very beginning in the hotel. There's Mrs. Bancroft. There's Ortega.
the girl in the beginning of the
Yeah, you remember
hotel.
the girl that he
What?
was with before he died officially in the very beginning?
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah, fair enough. Okay. One and done. So he's gotten laid 4 times in this series, which is impressive. I have to say, four different women. Okay, I'm not casting aspersion. I'm not slut shaming, but I'm putting it out there. So he has sex with her. And the shots are very close, and they're not long shots. Like with Ortega, when it's supposed to have an emotional connection, it's close. It's sorry, it's not close. It's the ones that show that there is long intimate moments. This is very short but very intense intimate moments. And we don't see any inverted commas
Nope.
good, which is good because they have class in this bit. Like we don't need to show you their nipples. Like
This one
it doesn't
time.
matter. Yeah, like we don't have to show you their nipples for you to know that they're naked. Like we don't have to do that. We're not titillating the audience. Like we're giving, it's and it's also a very short scene.
Yeah, it is. And then it's super short. They wake up. Well, he wakes up the next day, picks up her book, and writes in it. Which, by the way, as a person who carries a notebook around constantly, that drives me insane. If someone just picked up one of my notebooks and wrote in it, I'd probably stab them with a pin.
Mechanical pencil, the nerd switch plate.
Like, no, I refuse. Don't ever do that.
It's to me. It's also it's her personal journal. It does a thing for her. Like you don't pick up her book and then like it clearly contains something personal to it, like a diary. You don't pick up someone else's diary and start doodling in it.
Yeah. Now, granted, he writes a very nice little poem, but still, don't pick up other people's notebooks and write in them.
No, he does teenager in love emo
He really
poetry
does.
in there, and it's world class. Like we had emo poetry on
Lost in Space.
oh my god, Lost in Space, but this was a whole level of emo poetry. I mean, this is emo poetry written by clearly someone who knows how to write poetry, and it's good poetry. But holy crap, was it just like wow, that's a bit much.
Yeah, a little bit. Just a little bit. She starts to wake up,
dear.
and he kisses her, and it's like, oh yeah. It's early morning. And then Ray comes around the corner and sees them, and she gets so upset because of creepy incest feelings.
Yeah, yeah, because creepy incest. And he's like, I better go deal with that. She's like, see you in 5 hours.
And he runs off
Um,
looking for Ray in the woods. And we get a scene of everyone at Stronghold, and we get like 3 different shots of somebody doing something, and then going really, really still.
yeah. So this is the true power of three thing. Like basically, when you do a thing, try and do it in threes because our brain deals really well with threes, odd numbers. Because then we could do here's a middle, here's a beginning, here's an end. We literally have that in the power of three or in a power of 5 or a 7. So here we have 3 separate people and we go one after another. Then we have 3 separate people being still, one after another. And then we have 3 people about to do something really fucking dangerously dodgy, one after another. And it's perfect. Like that scene, we get the idea there's some serious shit about to go down and it's not going to end well. And then we cut back to the forest.
No, we cut back to the future.
Oh, we do. Yeah, we go straight because I think this is when he's beginning to pick up there's some weird shit going down.
He
with
wakes up and Ray tells him to eat and then pours him a glass of whiskey. And he asks her, "Oh, what have you been doing? Because you're alive, and also how are you alive?" And she tells him, "Oh, graduate student found my stack and some DNA, and then he put me in a synth body. And as soon as I could, I ran away, and I made a lot of money doing." She never says, so clearly something dodgy. And then, I'm just here. I'm just hanging out, doing my thing.
Yeah, that's the short story.
Yep. And then then he sees Kovac sees a firefly. Just like he like clearly is like hallucinating. He sees a firefly, and then it cuts back to the past where we see Kovac in the woods screaming, and then we hear some planes fly over, and some explosions.
Naturally.
Yeah. And then he gets back to Stronghold where everything is covered in ash and everyone is fucking dead.
Is dead and or going crazy.
Because he does find 3 living people.
Yeah, so he finds one woman and she's going crazy talking about the monsters. The monsters are here. Another woman turns out goes, gotta kill the monsters. Vice versa. Basically, one shoots the other and then the one that survived basically just dies of her
she's clearly been clawing at her own face.
Yeah, clearly. And we come back to DeSoto.
Yeah, we find DeSoto.
Poor DeSoto. Is like, I did this to myself. We did this to ourselves. We are bones. Please help me. And he's like, you gotta help me. And the Protectorate beginning to turn up. Jaeger is turning up at this point. So Goetz like tries to hide them, and the blokes DeSoto's like, seriously, dude, this is not good. Like I did all this shit.
I gotta get to the next screen, but it's not a construct.
Yeah, he's missing an eye,
like,
right?
He's pulled his own eye out. And he's like freaking out.
Yeah, it's fucking gross and amazing. And basically he's like, dude, you gotta help me out. So Kovacs grabs his gun, puts it to the back of the stack, and the guy goes, good talk. Blow the stack out. I'm like, this is perfect. I love this scene. This particular scene when he goes back, finds everyone going crazy, and they find DeSoto because it wraps up DeSoto's little thing. And I'm like, I love the dude even more. This is fucking amazing. We see all the chaos and the devastation of all these envoy bodies around and see all the ash. We didn't have to see that fight scene to know how that went down. Like, we didn't have to see everyone going crazy, see the motions, and then see everyone die. We didn't need to see that. We could go, here's the beginning, here's a very tiny end of what happened.
Yep.
Like, we have the idea of exactly what happened here. Like, knowing that clearly something happened to these 3 people, they were affected by something somewhere to make them start doing this, and then everyone got infected somehow. It's just a beautifully done little scene, and it's amazing. So he blows the stack out, and Jaeger turns up.
And then he runs away, which is probably the smart thing to do. Although he runs away here, but literally 20 minutes ago in this episode, he fought an entire Protectorate army and won. So why are you running away now that you are more badass? I do not understand. Whatever, though, because he finds out that his sister and Kelchrist are still alive, and they're going to go to the shuttle bay. And so he's going to go to the shuttle bay.
Yeah, he's like, we'll all meet there, and it'll be a great idea. Everyone go to the shuttle. We'll get there and we'll all get out.
Actually, sorry. There's the scene where he's talking to Kelchrist, and she's like, oh, I'm up on the bridge. And he looks up and he sees her, and she's like, what happened? And he says, like, oh, everyone went crazy, direct stack download. And she's like, oh, it had to be Rawlins virus is what she calls it. Then she's like, we must have been out of range. And then Ray runs onto the bridge, and she's like, all 3 of us. And even you can tell at this moment, Kelchrist is like, that's weird. Why was Ray out of
Mm-hmm.
range?
Mm-hmm.
Ray, who should have
Like,
been in the stronghold.
yeah, it's convenient, does not one
Right?
think, that she was out of range when all this shit went
Yep.
down.
Uh,
Cough. Like,
huh.
this screams
Huh.
traitor.
But Kovacs tells Kelchrist and his sister to run for the shuttle bay. He's going to lead them off. And Kelchrist tells him to survive. That's an order. And he's like, sure, got it. So off they go. Everyone's running their own way. Kovacs is shooting at people in the woods, which, by the way, are on fire. And raining ash.
Of
It's a
course,
very
yeah.
cool scene.
Yeah, like they do like the zoom out shot where we see the trees burning up from the ground, and it's like that looks so fucking cool. It explains how, like in like some of the other flashbacks where we see him surrounded by
Yep.
ash, like this is how this comes to be. It ties all those flashbacks
It's
together, and it's
so
so
good.
good. And it looks amazing. So he's fighting off the dudes in the woods, and he sees the
Shuttle,
shuttle
the
take off.
slowest takeoff I have ever seen. This thing is out for a lazy Sunday drive. It's just like, it's like you are
Yeah.
in danger. What is happening?
God damn it, pump the
Punch
gas,
it.
guys, come on.
Looks like they're trying to escape on
So-
a fucking rascal scooter.
So the women take off in the shuttle, and he sees it take off, and he's like, "Yay!" And then the bunch of protector
Oh,
guys.
he's
start
like,
up.
fuck you, Jaeger. You'll never get her. And then he gets shot with 2 lasers from orbit, and it blows up in front of him.
Yeah.
And he's just like, platoon falls to his knees, screaming at the sky. Because Kelchrist and his sister are dead. And then it jumps to the future.
The 2 most important women in his life.
Bum,
Bum,
ba-da-da.
bum, bum.
And it jumps to the present.
So, yeah, we go back to the present, and there are more weird Firefly bullshit things going around. And I think we face back into present day when she's talking about admiring something he's
yes,
done.
she's.
Which I think is him cutting off Dimmy the twins' head. I'm like, I'm actually so happy that's the thing that gets referenced back here. I was so happy because it was one of the most badass
Oh yeah,
things.
she's like, I guess a head is portable. I love it.
Yeah.
But he asks her, "Hey, Ray, how did Kelchrist die?" And she says, "Oh, I can't remember. It happened too fast." And to which there's this low buzzing noise in Kovach's ear, and he's like, "Huh? I'm gonna go splash some water on my face." Ray walks out of the room. Kovach walks down a hallway, then turns around because there's a firefly near him, and you hear Kelchrist creepy voiceover stuff. And he walks into a room where there are a bunch of cryopods. And inside of those cryopods are 3 of the people that Kovach has dealt with since he got here.
So he comes across the girl, the one that basically that creepy little fucking girl that should never been around. Like my friend was mean to me. We had bitchy child who was being a bitch to him, and he was being an asshole back to. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. We see that. Who else?
We
have
see the
got in
woman
there?
from the party who was like, I've had a dude sleeved into a snake.
Yes, that was the other one that I've forgotten. Yeah. So we have creepy girl, we have creepy woman with creepy snake thing going on. I'm like, holy shit, that's cool. And then we see
Hemingway.
the guy, Hemingway. Yes, that's
Yep.
his name.
So
Hemingway.
here, context clues, his sister at least is also known throughout the city as 2 very, very powerful and rich people. The little girl is whatever. No one cares about that because that's not a powerful rich person. But the other 2 are like huge deals.
So,
But
she's a
yeah,
mess.
she's 2 meths. One of which is a criminal dude.
Yeah. Like that's
And the
why.
little girl is literally just, she's been watching Kovach since he got here. Like, he clearly she knew about him, despite the fact she's like, oh, I heard rumors of an envoy.
Yeah, but clearly she had to been in the city for a while. She can't have just suddenly just gone, oh, my brother's back, I better go check this one. She's been watching him for a while. She has been in the criminal underground for a while. Like, she has to have been part of that meta society for a while. She could have only been a kid for like 6 years.
Yeah, the kid's not that old. But still, she's here. And then she comes around the corner and she's kind of... I don't think she actually says anything. They just kind of stare at each other, and that's where, like, that...
No, she definitely says
Okay, well,
something.
I don't
I
remember what
just
it was
don't
either.
remember.
Maybe she says something about how. Oh no, because she does say something, and then it flashes back to the shuttle scene where
Yeah,
Kelcris runs up into the seat, and she's like putting in stuff, and she's like, "Wait, that's not the evac route." And then she gets into a fight with Ray, and then handily defeats her.
of
Uh,
course. Yeah, like she
yeah, just like
annihilates Ray
whatever,
like
fuck you. She
seconds.
runs up to tell
Yeah,
Takeshi, and all she gets, because we've had this a couple of times in the show, is she says "talk," and that's it. Because Ray pulls out a targeting device and hits the button, and that's where the lasers from orbit hit the shuttle.
yeah. And then yeah, so we find out how Calcrest dies exactly. We find out how the sister dies exactly, and
Oh, I
then
remember what
you
what's
know,
said here.
Kovacs-
It's Kovacs. That was the last thing it said. Is that the only reason you wouldn't remember how she died is if you'd been backed up.
yes, and then yeah, which and she's like, uh-huh. And you know when they do the explosion thing, Kel is like, "Why are you doing this? Because they've given me life. It's a primal human urge not to die."
Yep.
So she's acting on that urge of I don't want
And
to
then
die. I don't want there to be real death. I want to see a million more tomorrows with my
yeah,
brother
and
lover.
then her
I
last creepy line is, "I told her I did it for because they gave me life, but really I did it all for you because I
yeah,
totally want to bone
that's
down."
yeah,
That's the end of that episode.
that was the creepy. That
That's
was
what
the
it
creepy
was.
ending.
I blocked it
Yep.
out because it was too creepy.
Yeah, I was sitting there like I knew she was clearly like she's I think it was basically the second or third time she had an interaction with Quell. I'm like, oh, Ray's gonna betray them all. Of
Of
course she is,
course.
because fuck this place. She hates
Yeah.
it. She's not here.
Um.
Like, no.
So yeah, that's that episode. We're running a tiny bit long here. Very very little. But Vlada,
Yeah.
how would you rate this episode?
I would rate this incest on a scale of 1 to 5. I can't even. No, I think probably 3, 4, probably a 4 to be honest. Because as much as we have moaned about certain things in this, it does a really good job of tying back all of these
It
things.
does.
Seeing the way that the two Kovacs are acting, they are clearly the same person. Like props to those two actors. Even the sister is very well portrayed, and she does a good job of putting in the am I doing this, am I not doing this, I'm laying in the seeds of perhaps Kelcrest isn't the person she is. And there is clearly a bond, a dodgy one albeit, but there's clearly a bond between the sister and both Takeshi actors. Like there's clearly something there, and it does a really good job tying it all together and us finding out what happens back into the past about how we got to where we are now, and we learn who made the stacks and how all this stuff working. And basically you get that feeling of I created something cool but someone turning it into something dick move. It's one of those like really cool things. I'm gonna give it a 4 because I actually really did like this episode as much as I have moaned
Yeah.
about it. Like it's just small plot things that are just like, oh, that's convenient. But yeah. What about you, Drew?
I'm gonna rate this one 3. I really like the episode. It's still a really good episode. Please understand that. But there are things I can't forgive. One, they killed an entire two armies at once. I can't drop that.
Yeah.
Also, the creepy incest thing. Can't drop that. It actually gets worse because it's not in the book. Why did you put it in the show?
Yeah, that's weird. That's
yeah, the
even
recruitment
weirder.
speech. Didn't like that. Also, this one doesn't really actually affect the point rating I'm giving it, but it's a thing I want to note. If you know anything about writing tropes for TV shows, you know that Rey is evil the second you see her house, because her house is covered in weaponry, and you know the only people who have weapons all over the walls in movies and TV? Evil people. There is not one good person in a movie or TV show who's like, yeah, this wall is my sword wall. I have all the swords on this wall, and this wall is all the axes. I just have them. They're not for, they just show. No, not a single person.
Yeah, also Evil House because she has like a bunch of like bodies in
Okay,
there.
that also, but that was supposed to be like, ooh, she's been watching him this entire time. The weapons thing is just because it's like, well, she's like a bad person. What do you like supervillains have on their walls? Weapons, right? They just have like weapons
Weapons.
everywhere.
Yeah,
Like, oh my
clearly.
god.
They can't do the white cat trope, so there's got
Exactly.
to be a
As Undead
weapon,
Man
right?
says, the good people hide their weapons and they're rightfully ashamed of them.
Because they are responsible and they don't give weapons to 11 years
Exactly.
old children.
This is how you know they're evil. Their weapons are just lying around.
They give not a care, not one whit for the safety of humankind.
If you get hurt, it's your own fault.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
it's still.
that being
yes,
said,
it's
it's a
still
good
a very good
episode.
episode.
It's
It
just-
does tie together the stuff we had seen previously with the stuff that's going to happen, and you get really
Yeah.
set about, oh, okay, so this has been going on. This is Kovach's past, you know.
Yeah, and I have a feeling that I think we mentioned this before. Like, someone else is playing Kovacs in series 2,
Yes,
like
Yep.
present day. Is it OG
I have no
Takeshi?
idea. I haven't looked it up. I just know they have another actor because they did announce who it is. I just don't know who it is.
Oh, okay.
Like,
All right,
you
fair
could
enough.
go look it up,
I
but
would
I
not.
refuse.
I'm not going to. I want to be
Yes.
surprised. Like, to be fair, finding out that they weren't supposed to be brothers and sisters was surprise enough for this
Right?
episode.
Now it makes me want to go read the books and be like, okay.
But then, to me, that's a mark of a
Yeah.
good series. Is one that makes you go, "Oh, I want to consume the other version of this because this is going to be
Exactly.
cool." Yeah, I am super looking forward to next week.
I am too. The
Like,
next couple episodes are going to be real weird, and I can't wait for them because they're going to wrap the story up fairly nicely.
cool. I'm definitely looking forward to it. This, I have to agree, I don't think was my favorite episode ever. That being said, it's still better than the best episode of Lost in Space.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Even that is still better. Like, seriously, go watch them on a bad day, and then you'll have a way better Lost in Space series.
I agree, Undead. I like this series as a whole. It's a good series.
Yes.
There are just little things that they're the kind of like convenience in that it happens in writing a lot of times. It's just like, okay, yeah.
We have to allow them their tropes on occasion.
Because
so.
otherwise you're going to spend 7
It's-
years writing in a circle to get, the plot moving.
Yeah, and don't have
No.
that time. Or Netflix, that money.
No.
It's fair. All right, I guess we're it
That's
then.
it.
Is that it?
We just do our outro
right.
stuff, so...
I guess
that's
I'll
you.
go with it. Hi, I'm Polly. You can catch me every Monday with the Lucky Die podcast, which releases every Monday. New episode of The White Vault comes out Tuesday for general release, so please go check that out because it's fucking amazing. And other than that, it's just me here on a Sunday night with you, Drew. That's everything. Catch me on Twitter at blood_BTP.
All right. I'm Drew Tillman, and you can find me on Twitter at NotThatDrew. Great place to follow me, because you find out all the stupid things I do. You can also come to the Taking Initiative Discord, where I'm pretty active. Not as active as I probably should be. I'm terrible at social media and talking to people. Shocker that I'm not.
I know.
It's a shocker, right?
We talk.
The other thing is you can find me every other Monday on Taking Initiative. The new episode actually comes out tomorrow on the main feed. And yeah, I'm here every Sunday doing this. I'm also going to shout out Nerds on a Roll because they just wrapped up season 1, or the last major episode came out 2 weeks ago. I think don't quote me on this. I'm not 100% sure of their release schedule, but I think their epilogue's coming up, and then they have their post-mortem after that. Season 1 is done, though. If you have not been listening to it, go check it out.
It's an entire series worth binging.
It really is. It's so good. And it's a great podcast. Go listen to it. Support them.
Yeah.
That,
Go do it, bitches. Do it now.
that's and obviously go listen to go listen to all of our shows. Taking Initiative, The Lucky
Listen
Die,
to everything ever.
and Nerds on a Roll.
It's worth it.
Yes. Go listen to everything forever. Be like me and have 40 something active podcasts that you're listening to.
You're insane. You are genuinely
That's
insane.
all I do.
All
Anyway,
right,
that's
I
it.
guess we've nailed this outro as usual.
Listen,
I'm so glad these outros don't make it to the iTunes
these
release.
outros are solid. Hey, everyone in the chat, you love these outros, right?
Yeah,
Their
sure they
silence
do.
is
All right.
agreements.
Oh no, I forgot. On Wednesday, I'm going to be on Arch's channel, Arch_D&D, because I'm going to be running the graveyard for
Oh
them.
shit!
Yeah, I'm super excited because none of them I don't think have seen the graveyard.
What time is that?
I don't know. I just know at
All
some point
right.
Arch is going to go, "Hey, you need to run a game for me." I'm like, "Oh
All right,
shit, okay."
I'm gonna go bother Arch because I can't. If I am available, I want to watch this.
Oh, it's gonna be a true. Oh, Undead, you're in that game, aren't you? It's gonna be a true amazing game. I'm so looking forward to it. I just need to see what they do different to you
Oh, I want to
guys.
watch it so badly. I hope I'm free.
Uh, I think he bods them all, so
I like this.
it's gonna be fun times.
This sounds perfect. All right,
All right.
everyone. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back next Sunday for episode 8.
Boop, boop,
Bye.
boop, boop, boop.